Welcome to a noob's guide to Skarbrand. This is Skarbrand, the Exiled one, the Wrathful Reaper, he that never skips leg day. Foremost of Khorne's servants, and quite possibly the angriest SOB in Warhammer. In this video, we'll go over Skarbrand's lore, how that's been translated to gameplay, and cover his intended playstyle in Total War Warhammer III. The leader of the Exiles of Khorne faction in-game, as his cognomen implies, Skarbrand is no longer in the Blood God's good graces. But once upon a time, this bloodthirster was the greatest of all Khorne's demons, his crown prince of slaughter. It was Skarbrand who led a host of murder against a combined army of the Chaos Gods, and won. It was Skarbrand who broke into Slaaneish's pleasure palace and pooped all over his party. It was Skarbrand who piled so many skulls before the Skull Throne that Khorne needed a booster seat to look over them, and offered so much blood that even the Red Cross said, "Alright, we're gonna need to stop donations for now." And to prove it wasn't a fluke, Skarbrand then challenged all of Khorne's other bloodthirster lords to a duel on the Infernus Plains in a 1v1000 battle that hasn't seen the like since Oddjob chopped his way to victory in GoldenEye 64. Then just to piss on the graves of the fallen, Skarbrand went full Soul Eater and bound the spirits of the two most powerful bloodthirsters into flesh-crafted axes of infinite destruction. These axes, Slaughter and Carnage, also appear in-game as well through a quest, becoming more powerful each time you kill someone with them in battle, so that Skarbrand can double his damage by the end of a fight, elevating him to the likes of Bale, Nicholson, and Gibson when it comes to axe-wielding psychopaths. Though Skarbrand really should chalk up on those things, he's losing all his leverage. Seeing these axes here is wild because they aren't actually from Warhammer Fantasy. They're Warhammer 40k lore. The Demons of Chaos are one of the few entities that exist in both universes. Games Workshop has connected, dismissed, and retconned whether or not the two games exist in the same space. One version had Warhammer Fantasy as a lone planet cut out from the rest of the 40k universe by a warp storm, while another had the entirety of 40k kept in a glass bottle on a wizard's shelf in the Altdorf College of Magic. In both realities, though, the endless victories go to Skarbrand's head, and it was easy for Tzeentch, the chaos god of infinite scheming, to stage a mind heist and plant an idea there. Since he was the best, shouldn't Skarbrand be in charge? His overstoked pride smoldered and burned until one day when the blood god had his back turned, Skarbrand picked up a candlestick in the drawing room of the brass citadel and brought it down on Khorne's head. Khorne choked Skarbrand until he called him daddy, and then climbed to the tallest tower of the keep just so it would hurt a bit more when he tossed him out of the realms of chaos, cursing Skarbrand as he fell with a lack of personality and an infinite supply of all-consuming rage, which is in fact a type of personality. He crashed down like a Skyrim dragon, landing face first as he gouged a canyon into the earth. That's why his face is all messed up, and his wings burned up on re-entry, and that's why he can't fly in-game. Khorne's curse and blunt trauma to the head left him a monosyllabic monstrosity with a penchant for speaking in the third person.
Skarbrand no speak like that. Skarbrand hate Flanderization.
Now Skarbrand wanders the mortal and immortal planes, a partially blind, deaf, and dumb pinball wizard paying for his sins with an endless supply of blood and skulls, so that he's trapped forever in a loop of failure and betrayal that's left him the angriest character since Donald Duck. Skarbrand brings that aura of wrath with him wherever he trudges, spreading anarchy in his wake with battle effects and abilities that drive those around him berserk. You may be wondering how someone with a constant explosive disorder can lead an army. Well, he can't. His unique skills give 0 buffs to units in his command and just make it cheaper to replace the chaff that dies around this titan of terror. And that's fine, because Skarbrand is a one-demon army, with unique traits and skills that give him replenishment in enemy territory and mid-battle, so you'll be floating around like a butterfly and stinging like a bee, with nearly every node of Skarbrand's unique skill line giving him extra weapon damage, so that when he does hit something, and trust me, he will, it's like a semi-truck to the groin. Where other Warhammer factions have overdeveloped mechanics and convoluted playstyles, Skarbrand thrives using the old 80s sales maxim of ABC. Always be chopping, because everyone, including other Khorne factions, hate you. There's no diplomacy in his campaign, you can't trade, Confederation is pointless, and sure, you could try and ally with people, but why would you want to when they have skulls you could harvest instead?
Because some men aren't looking for anything logical, like money. They can't be bought, bullied, reasoned, or negotiated with. Some men just want to watch the world burn.
Even the cults of Khorne are automatic, springing up whenever local Khorne corruption gets high enough. I mean, it sounds like a completely dull playstyle on paper, but Skarbrand plays like a Red Bull enema. There's a brilliant simplicity to just collecting skulls like a giant red-horned predator. The scripted scenario for Warhammer 3 has everyone going to either save or exploit the dying bear god of Kislev, Ursun. Everyone, that is, except Skarbrand, who just wants to cut off his head and then European mount it to Khorne's bedroom wall. Everything Skar does, in fact, is based around the pursuit of skulls. These skulls can be used for researching technologies or invoking unholy manifestations that allow all sorts of demonic sacrilege, increased movement range, more skulls, automatically raising a settlement, or spawn an army to stab Skarbrand in the back. And I recognize that last one doesn't sound very useful, but it's a weak army, and Skarbrand can use it to power level. And since he gets additional movement points after winning battles, they can be used as another rung on your ladder to victory. The fastest way by far, though, of increasing skulls is just to kill. Battles, sieges, ambushes, or just off-key karaoke. Slay them any way you want to, but all add skulls and affect Skarbrand's bloodletting meter, which is that little bar down there in the corner that is an absolute pain to raise as it requires successive victories. But with its bevy of buffs and no other way to add growth to Skarbrand's settlements, you had better pop a blue pill and find a way to get that thing up, which is another way of saying that to win as Skarbrand, you need to keep winning. But if the worst happens and you do run out of skulls, you can always use Skarbrand's Combat Trials stance, which generates experience and 1 skull for each unit in your army. But they will also take attrition damage, because you know, they're killing each other. This is combat trials. This isn't a LARP session. You can even try to help Skarbrand get back in his boss's good graces by clicking on the Krampus button at the top of the screen and piling cranial currency at the feet of the patron god of phlebotomists. Khorne will bless you with extra loot from battles, the ability to summon bloodthirsters, 2 more units in your blood host, and even more movement range after you raise a settlement. That's right, Skarbrand can still move after he raises. He already gets 25% extra movement points after raising by his natural skills, and this doubles it temporarily. So whenever Skarbrand enters a region, you'll want to raise everything in it except the main settlement, as settling down costs sweet precious skulls, and you don't want to waste them on decorating. Raising keeps the Khorne corruption flowing and turns the map into an ash-covered hellscape oozing blood like a Detroit suburb. Then you can move on and forget about the region you've recently denuded of life, because every turn there's a chance for raised settlements to be automatically colonized for you by supporters of Khorne. But you don't just sack or raise as Skarbrand. Instead, you'll get options to take skulls for the Skull Throne, which predictably gives you skulls, or blood for the Blood God, that replenishes your troops and spawns a blood host army nearby. These mini blood host armies can't recruit new units and slowly deteriorate over time, but technology can be researched that let them spawn with more units and last even longer. And Skarbrand has a skill to attract even more with his carnal musk. Just don't get carried away with them, as each army does cost upkeep, and even Skarbrand isn't immune to bankruptcy, though he is impervious to damn near everything else. Because in all of Warhammer's fake history, no one has served Khorne as completely as Skarbrand. He's added a whole mountain range of skulls to the Blood God's realm. He shakes the foundations of eternity with his wrath and leaves a trail of slaughter across multiple planes of existence. Yet still, Khorne refuses to forgive his favorite champion, all because he lost a game of Billy Goat's Gruff to an old man. So become rage embodied and bellow your endless fury as you cut your way across the mortal realm. Because every game needs its fantasy devil character, and Diablo 4 won't be out for at least another year. So embrace the carnage and let slip what remains of your sanity, because this has been a noob's guide to Skarbrand. Thank you to the Creative Assembly for early access to Total War Warhammer 3 so I could make this video, and if you got a laugh out of it, consider subscribing for future releases or join the Patreon to vote on which guide comes next. But regardless, thanks for watching.